Hi friends, I'm Melissa Uchida, founder of the Healthy Human Project. So last week I had the privilege of speaking to a group of high school students about mindfulness, and I left feeling inspired, and I wanted to share some of the lessons that I taught them with you, because honestly I wish someone had taught me this when I was their age. Being able to control your state of being is your superpower. We know we can't control things outside of us. We try, but we cannot control life events. Things happen. Things are going to happen. Bad things happen to people. But what we can control is how we respond to them, and we can actually ultimately control the meaning that we give them and the impact that they have on our lives. Have you ever blamed someone for being in a bad mood? You're upset, you're mad, it's their fault. Yeah, of course, right? We all have. But here's the thing is that we're actually each able to control our mood and our response to any event. So we don't have to stay in a bad mood. We don't have to stay in a fearful state. We don't have to stay angry. We don't have to stay jealous. Now, that ability to regulate our nervous system and to work with the mind and the emotions will change your life because it changes the way you experience life. So we become able to change the meaning we give to any event, right? An event happens, we give it a meaning, and usually if it's a negative event, we're going to say, this means it's going to hit some kind of a wound, right? I'm rejected, I'm abandoned, I'm not good enough, or whatever, this kind of a fear. But when we learn the skill of regulating our nervous system and being able to broaden our perspective, it changes how we experience life. Okay, so today I want to guide you through a quick 3-minute peacefulness practice. And this is what I shared. It's one of the practices that I did with these girls. It's simple, it's powerful, and it works really well. When we're triggered, and that means your nervous system's activated. You might be angry, afraid, you feel defensive, or there's like some kind of a pushback. You'll know this. Your nervous system goes into defense mode, and that's usually like you feel the heat rise in your body, you might start to sweat, your cheeks get red, but there's a physiological reaction to getting triggered or activated. The sympathetic nervous system, that's like the defense. Think of that as like the guys guarding the fort, like all around. I think of them on a castle with like their spears or whatever, or their guns, just like everything, it's on alert. You become defensive. It says danger, danger, watch out. Your skin might even get prickly. So that starts to take over. And what happens is when those guys go on defense or on offense even, is that the other systems of the body shut down. The parasympathetic, which controls our breathing and our the digestion and our hormones, that part starts to shut down because all of our energy is going to the sympathetic nervous system. This is the fight or flight. And that means our thinking, even our thinking doesn't work. The prefrontal cortex here that's making our decisions, that part shuts down, and the fear-based part of the brain, the amygdala in the back of the brain, takes over. So it's not a good time to make good decisions. We don't ever want to make decisions from a place of fear or anger because our brain's not working the way we want it to be working when we're making some good decisions. We all know what this feels like, right? That feeling of like someone says something to you and you just go, ugh. It's like, oh, it feels crappy. I hate being in this state. It feels so yucky. The thing is, we don't need to stay here. So I told them this story of the Buddha. It's one of my favorite stories about the Buddha sitting underneath the Bodhi tree seeking enlightenment. And he sits down to meditate, and all these demons show up, and they're throwing arrows at him. And they're trying to break his meditative state so that he doesn't reach enlightenment. Now, these demons, the little Maras, they're like, I think of little cupids with arrows, and they're throwing these arrows, and the arrows are things like fear, anger, jealousy, arrogance, ignorance, not being able to see. Ignorance is a really big one, not being able to see. So think of these little emotions and the thoughts causing these emotions. That's how I think of these little demons. They're those negative thoughts that just show up and show up and show up. When someone says a word or they do something or there's an action and we feel that arrow. Anyway, with the Buddha, so he's sitting there and all these demons are throwing these arrows at them, but the field he's creating around him, this big force field, field, we now call it a biofield, you might call it an aura, is so strong and powerful from his meditation that the arrows hit the force field, they turn to flowers, and they drop to the ground. So they have not gotten their poison into the Buddha. Now, the thing is, we all have this ability. Every single person on this planet has this ability to turn those poisonous arrows into flowers and have them fall to the ground. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So there are a bunch of reasons why we would want to do this. Now, sometimes we want to stay in a bad mood, and if that's the case, just honor, I want to stay in a bad mood. I want to stay mad at this person. And if that is always our choice. But there are a lot of health risks that go along with that. So if we decide that we want to stay angry at someone, or stay in a fear state, or stay anxious, our heart starts to beat. The sympathetic nervous system keeps working over, and it's not meant to work all the time. It's actually meant to be like, oh, hit the red button, the alert button goes on, think of that, and then the alert button is supposed to go off. Everything, you don't want to stay in that state for too long. It has a whole bunch of wear and tear on the body. It's really not good, and we die early because of stress. So much disease is caused because of stress, because we don't have this skill of knowing how to regulate our nervous system. And because life's pressures are so intense and demanding and constant these days. So the physical side effects, high blood pressure, adrenal fatigue, you get completely exhausted, you have poor digestion. And when you have poor digestion, literally, none of your systems are going to be working well. We didn't get into food, but if you eat crap, you're going to feel like crap, period. That's just it. Poor digestion, poor sleep, and the inability to think. That sounds miserable, doesn't it? Yeah, that sounds miserable. So if we choose to hold on to these negative thoughts about these people or about situations that we don't like, that is poisoning us. That's our own poison, and it will make you sick. Now, mentally, if we continue to think these thoughts, is that these thoughts then become more and more ingrained. And the more ingrained they are, we start to believe them when they're not true, because we're not seeing the whole picture. We're just not. You can't. There's no way a human being could see the whole picture of something with our two little limited eyes. We only see here. We definitely don't see behind us. We definitely don't see up, and we don't see down, and we see very little. It's all cloudy here in the peripheral. So when we realize that of like, oh, I do not have the whole story to anything, it opens us up to change these negative thoughts, because the negative thoughts lead to resentment. And when we believe something and we resent something, when we rehash that negative story over and over in our head, that's called ruminating. Ruminating leads to resentment because we had an expectation, and that expectation was not met. That causes a resentment, which is fine, right? That's completely normal, but it makes us sick. When we're resentful of someone else, it's like throwing a poisonous arrow and you're trying to hit someone else and boop, it lands right in your foot and you poison yourself. We don't want to do that, right? There is a way that we can retrain the body and the mind to respond differently to upsetting situations. We need a few things though. We need awareness, we need compassion, and we need your breath. That's all you need, awareness, compassion, and your breath. So first, awareness. Notice that you've been activated. Notice you've been triggered. Notice that you're upset. Recognize it in your body. You might feel the tightening in your belly, the hotness in your cheeks, the heartbeat starts to go faster, your breath changes, but notice it. And then the second thing is pause. Do not react right away. Take a few deep breaths, always diaphragmatic breathing into the belly. 3, name it. Once you name the emotion, it starts to calm the nervous system down. And it's always a great idea to have an emotions chart, just to be able to name more emotions than happy, sad, mad, anger, right? And fear. Like, there are way more emotions. And once you can start to name the specific emotion, you go, oh, okay, I see that emotion. And then number 4 is to breathe, or you can move. You can do both too. Conscious diaphragmatic breathing and some gentle movement. Even it might be not so gentle. You might go for a run. You might go lift some weights. You might jump and do some push-ups or jumping jacks. All of that is going to help to release the physical tension from your body. But when we do this breath awareness, conscious breath awareness, this changes everything. So all right, now we're going to get into the practice. It's a really fast practice, and it's something that you can use anytime that you feel unsettled or upset. So here it is. Now you have to find a comfortable seat and make sure that we sit up tall. We did work a lot on posture because, the posture, they're like, oh, sitting like this. And I said, okay, when we sit up straight, take the shoulders back. It not only brings the mind and it says, all right, now I need to focus. I need to pay attention. Take the shoulders back. This allows us to breathe better. And it takes effort in the body. If you notice, to sit up straight, it takes some effort. And we want that effort because that's telling us to be mindful. Now, close your eyes. Notice how it feels in your body. Notice any tightness in the body. Notice any heaviness in the body. Notice any agitation. Now take a deep breath. Inhale through your nose all the way down into the belly. And as you breathe in, imagine that you are breathing in this other person's suffering. See them as a human being, imperfect, just like you. Now exhale slowly and silently say the word peace. Again, inhale, breathing in. Breathe in compassion and understanding for this other person's experience. Exhale, peace. Continue like this for a few rounds, letting your breath soften and lengthen. Feel the body start to release, and the mind will start to quiet. Inhale their suffering. Exhale peace. You might notice that the charge of the situation starts to dissolve. Slowly, gently blink open your eyes. So what did you notice? Yeah. Perspective comes in, clarity comes in, and you might realize, oh, I feel better. I feel better, right? Ultimately, it's about us feeling better. It's about us not making ourselves sick. You might also notice that your perspective of the situation has changed. You might see the situation differently because you really are literally looking at the situation now through different eyes. When we finished this practice in class, some of the girls shared some beautiful reflections. One said, oh, I feel calmer. Another said, I can see the situation differently. Another one said, I feel like I was, up here looking down and it changed everything. And another one said, I'm not mad anymore. I can see that people come and go, or I'm not hurt anymore. I see people come and go and that's okay. Look, that's the power of mindfulness. It helps us to move from reaction to reflection, from chaos to calm, right? That is a superpower. Life's toughest times have taught me, plus many years of yoga practice, and taught me that conscious breathing, mindfulness, meditation, which train us to regulate the nervous system, is one of the most important skills that we personally can ever learn and develop for ourselves and to teach our children. Pain is necessary, suffering is optional, and mindfulness is the key. If this practice helped you, let me know in the comments. I love reading your comments and I want to know what you noticed, how it might have shifted your energy, or how it's shifted how you see a situation that's been getting underneath your skin. If you like this and you like more tools, please hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the Healthy Human Project for weekly rituals, reflections, and practices to help you live with more health, happiness, and wholeness, and share it with someone else who you think would benefit. May you be happy, may you be peaceful, and may you be free of suffering. Always, I'm sending you so much love. I'm Melissa, and I'll see you in the next video.